Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for cash tags. For that, let's bring in our next guest. That's going to be Landon Swan. He's a co-founder at LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thanks for having me, and happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. We're talking retail today, and I saw a couple notes out on Home Depot and Lowe's today, so I wanted to kind of hit on this. And then I started looking at the chart, and the stock's been bouncing back, but I think over the last couple of quarters, we've seen decreasing comparable same-store sales that are actually negative, but it seems like maybe this 50 basis point cut, some other outliers might be impacting these stocks to the upside at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this stock, it's almost at the all-time highs that it had at the end of 2021 at $420. We're at, I think, 403 right now, something like that, and it's been on a heck of a run. And it makes you, try to figure out, okay, what's going on? Because I know some of their numbers haven't been so great. But what's interesting is, on their last report, they talked about how a lot of homeowners are waiting. They're expecting a rate cut. They've got a lot of maybe projects in the back of their mind that they want to do, or maybe they want to buy, but they're waiting, buy homes, but they're waiting. And so I think the market, it makes sense. It's a smart narrative, right? And so the market says, all right, we'll pause on you, see what happens here. And of course, we get the rate cut. And now I think a lot of people are talking about, refinancing, buying a home that they've been sitting on or waiting, because those rates make a big difference. I mean, 50 basis points it makes a huge difference in your payment, especially if you think maybe that'll continue in the future. So we're seeing that consumers are, they're lowering their monthly payments. Maybe they're pulling out a big chunk of money on a refi where they can, do that addition or revamp the house a little bit. And so all of that kind of money goes right into Home Depot. As we know, 50% of their revenue comes from the pro side of things, whereas with Lowe's, it's about 25%. So anything in that area is going to help Home Depot. So we're actually also seeing that in the app usage among pros. That's up 81% on a year-over-year basis. And it's really the first big move to the upside that we've seen in about 2 years. So you can see that back in, late 2022 or early 2023, a nice little ramp up, but now we're getting another one where the pros are really starting to use this app. And the thing about it is, this not only obviously demonstrates that professionals are going to start spending more on at Home Depot, but it just demonstrates the stickiness of this product and kind of the way that this industry is moving a little bit more technologically advanced. So loving to see that. And, back to the rate cuts, we've got mortgage applications up 11% in September. Refis are up 20% on a week-over-week basis and 175% on a year-over-year basis. Of course, no one's, refining at the highest points, but now they're actually talking about doing it. And it's coming from such a low bar. As you can see, both of those numbers were very, very low. Nobody's refinancing when the rate's higher, but now it's starting to move lower. And what that means, again, is people are lowering their monthly payments, which is going to help the consumer overall. And they're pulling out chunks of change, chunks of cash where they can spend it, maybe on their home. So there's a couple of, really good things setting up. But the thing about this stock is, they kind of made these promises last quarter and said, well, homeowners they're waiting for rate cuts. So they got that. Now they've got to deliver. So expectations are very, very high with Home Depot, as is the stock. So you've got to, obviously be aware of what's happening there. But the other interesting thing is, this is people talking about home improvement over time. You wouldn't really know that rates are really higher, that the consumer's crunched here, right? This is a pretty steady chart. So that's interesting that people are still interested in home improvement. But what it tells me is that likely a lot of them have been putting this on the back burner. And so there's going to be some pent up demand, I think, with these rate cuts. And I think that we could really see a boom for Home Depot. But I also think the market is completely expecting that.
Landon, I think there's two key stories here with Home Depot. The first one that we talk about all the time, the off season for home improvement, is, Tom, never, as you know, there is no off season for home improvement. Your homes always need work. And a housing shortage and an aging U.S. housing market, both are good for Home Depot. And the pro segment that you talk about, contractors, if you drive in front of a Home Depot during the week, the contractors are parked out in front. They use Home Depot as their contracting site where they get a lot of their equipment. So both those favor Home Depot. Then there's this other story, which is they've really stopped growing new businesses, opening new businesses. They're reaching kind of a saturation level, which means they're saving the money that they were going to use to grow new businesses, and that can be put towards dividends, stock buybacks, and reducing debt. So the overall health of this company might be getting better as well as they get to that mature level where they don't need to grow anymore. There's a lot of things going on with Home Depot, all of them positive, Landon.
I would agree. And you know what? I'll throw in a third one that, is clearly negative overall, but for Home Depot is positive, and that's, the hurricane catastrophe. So there's a lot of rebuilding that has to be done. And, again, it's nobody's rooting for it. I own shares in Home Depot, and I know it's going to help my shares, but obviously we're not fans of that. But, when it comes to dollars and cents, someone has to rebuild all that, and then you have to get supplies and all that from Home Depot. So it's going to help there as well. It's a short-term thing, obviously, but all the things that we've talked about are longer-term stuff. But there's going to be a bump from that as well, for sure.
Yeah, and you look at those trends. You have that one chart versus the refi index versus purchase index. The thing that I'm concerned about with this, the euphoria is there, right? That more people are going to start moving once interest rates continue to fall. But we've seen that 10-year kind of firm up here around above 3.7%, and it's not going down anymore, Landon. And if you throw in the fact that maybe the economy is slowing a bit, everybody's banking on the return of the big ticket item. Maybe, a new fridge at Home Depot, maybe a new door, maybe a redo of a whole room. Is that the concern moving forward, that people are stretched enough already and it's not going to be able to match what the stock's done at this point?
Yes and no. So, when we talk about that chart that we showed earlier, the thought process or people searching about home improvement has been very steady this entire time. Now, whether they're actually pulling the trigger or not, I think that shows that maybe they're not, and based on what sales have been and what Home Depot said. So I agree with the company that there is going to be some pent-up demand, absolutely. Now, here's the problem. Is everyone is on the same page, right? This stock is up over 400. We're all expecting all of these things to happen. We're saying that there's pent-up demand. They're going to go back. They're going to have all these big ticket items. They're refinancing. The consumer is going to be stronger because their payments are less. They're going to have big chunks of cash to redo that room. All these things are going to happen. Therefore, the stock price is nearing all-time highs, just a few percentage points away. So now we're getting to that price to perfection, where if anything doesn't go right on the next earnings call, I think we could have a bad reaction from Wall Street. But I think it is all going to go right. I kind of agree with the story. So, if I'm a betting man, I probably play it to the downside on earnings because it's so priced to perfection. But, I would not be surprised if they hit. Really, what I would probably do is sell calls or sell a call spread, because I don't see it just running on good news, because the good news is all priced in.
Yeah, I think maybe the impact of the hurricanes also helping, as you mentioned right now, the unfortunate devastation we've seen down in the Southeast. All right, Landon, great stuff, great data. As always, appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder at LikeFolio, breaking down Home Depot. I thought that was interesting that Piper Sandler analyst came out